And we're live. Good evening, whiskey brothers and sisters, and welcome to episode 15 of the Canadian Whisky Journey's Whiskey Review. I'm Dolph. I'm your host tonight, and I'll be joined by Blair, Phillips, and Davin de Kergommeaux, co-authors of this book right here, The Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, the portable expert to over 200 distilleries and the spirits they make by the book. And we are continuing our Canadian Whisky Journey with a whiskey review of Odd Society Spirits Prospector 100% BC Rye Whiskey. And it's a lovely, beautiful whiskey. And we all got it.
I can see everybody's bottles pretty close to empty.
Yeah, it is too. Eh? Oh, and mine's batch 6, 2020. I'm guessing yours is earlier or not, because I went through mine fairly quickly.
This is the batch 9, 2020. The one we reviewed was from 2019.
Oh, okay. Well, and talking about reviews, that's where you're going to go for the article. And there's the article. If you want to check that one out, it's a quick read. It's worth a read. And let's start with Blair, as we always do. In the article, you say this rye whiskey can be sipped on its own, but pairs beautifully in any rye-based cocktail. Now, you both know me really well by now, but I think you're probably sure that I don't know what a rye-based cocktail is. So, Blair, could you tell us what a rye-based cocktail is?
When we say that, I was thinking more in the lines of these spirit-forward cocktails that you'd make from like a rye whiskey. So you have like your standard Manhattans, old fashions, Boulevardiers, that kind of thing is what we meant by this whiskey being very cocktail friendly.
What do you mean by, like, is it spice? Is it a cocktail that needs a lot of spice? Is that what you mean by rye based?
No, it's the cocktail that demands that flavor is going to cut through that rye grain, those spicy pepper notes, the fruitiness. So you're talking about heavy cocktails that are whiskey forward. So you're talking like 2 ounces of whiskey, and then maybe a drop of sweetener, some bitters, stirred on ice, and you're ready to go.
So like my rusty nail, kind of like that?
Except less rust.
Or it's too
less
sweet.
Rust.
More nail.
More nail.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, kind sir. I did need that because I need a lot of help with the cocktails, guys. Davin, all of us, we always mention the beautiful and unique artwork in the distillery and on the barrel heads whenever we get together over a dram. We always do. But we're equally impressed with how experimental they are in relation to the whiskey and the other spirits that they make. So based on what we know about Miriam, very artsy, and Gordon, scientific, I'm going to say, the husband and wife co-owner team, do you think that this is the quintessential match of artistry and science for a distillery? Throw that out to you, Dad.
Well, I definitely say that Odd Society is an integral part of the arts community, particularly visual arts in Vancouver. They really go out of their way to support local artists and avant-garde artists that are right at the front. And you look at their labels. Their labels are quite beautifully designed. But when you go into the distillery, they have a gorgeous, massive, big mural behind the bar. They're painting the heads of the barrel, so they got a different artist doing each barrel head for this maturing spirits. So yeah, they really have kind of taken that tack and they handle it very respectfully. And I think if you meet these two, they're a really cool couple. And I haven't met Mia, their daughter, but everything that I have heard about her tells me that she's quite an artistic soul herself. Okay. So
I was going to say, Dad's sciencey, is he not? He's got his master's from Harriet Watt, and I was thinking the daughter would be like maybe a Michelangelo type thing, the artistic, the science, everything coming together. Be good. And I used to have papers. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, I'd say he's got a master's degree in brewing and distilling. However, when you have to, we tasted some of the experimental whiskeys that they've done there, and I mean, you got to say that guy really has a knack of putting together really interesting things in a way that it's satisfying and enjoying, but it kind of gets your attention and it draws out new things. It's, you know, they really are kind of an expression of his own. Well, I'm not going to say artistry because he hasn't told me he's an artist, but he certainly does something that is very special and that kind of advances the art of distilling, for example, distilling beer. But at the same time, he can make batch after batch of Prospector rye that's all well within the same range of flavors. So you know, I think he's a skilled, very skilled artisan.
And when you go online, so you go to their store, you're going to see how many different products they actually have out. It's impressive what they do. So, and the crème de cassis, still one of my favorite. Still, and this is my second bottle, and that's done. And I just started that last year. Drinking that.
You know why that's your favorite, Dolph?
No,
you must not have tried their Salal gin, because that's my favorite. Oh boy, is that stuff fabulous.
You are a gin guy, and I'm starting because of you guys. I'm starting.
Yeah.
Now, the Trump you both, though, their Amaro is also pretty special.
The what?
The Amaro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sticking with this, and plus I like the story. I'm not going to go into the story, but I like the story of the creation with that as well. And they tell you all that online, that's part of the experience, I think, because they get you into the development of it and the history of the bottles. I really like that. But let's delve into this. Let's do the nose. But as you're doing that, a little bit of background. 750 mils, 46%, 100% northern BC rye grain, matured in heavily charred New American white oak, and available throughout BC and Alberta and on their online store. And if you want to try this, they have something called the Liquid Sunshine Cocktail Kit, which is $46. So, and we were talking about the rye forward.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that would be a rye forward thing, and I'm guessing. And if it's not, someone will help me out. All right. What do we get on the nose, gentlemen?
I get a lot of fruit on this, but I'm also getting it's grain, but it's kind of like waxy grain.
That's me.
You got that?
I was with beeswax the whole time, and because the sweetness is it's not a honey sweet, but I do get beeswax, so there's that element. So I'm glad you said waxy. That's good. And
the honeycomb is there.
What's that?
Yeah, the honeycomb for sure.
Good.
Yeah, honeycomb. Yeah.
Nice. And the fruit, I was trying to hit fruit, but the only thing I'm coming up with is plum. That's it for me.
It's funny because I'm getting apricots now, or apricots, but when I tasted it last time, I got more peaches.
Okay. Maybe it's just, it's aged. It's been there for a little while. I think your article came out maybe in the fall.
Can't remember.
I can't remember.
I can't.
When you reviewed it. Oh, all right. And on the palate.
Well, I'm getting sweetness there. A lot of spices, hot spices, but it's not peppery. It's more, I don't know. I'm getting nice hot spices on it. I really like that. Again, those grainy notes with a waxy feel to them now.
Yeah. I have the wood feel at the end.
Lots of toasted grains for me.
Okay.
Toasted grain, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this like a spiciness, but a floral spiciness. I don't know how to describe it. Almost like a cinnamon without being cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon without it being cinnamon, or ginger without it being ginger, or pepper without it being pepper. Yeah,
it's like a mashup.
Yeah.
How about the cinnamon hearts? I was thinking, because the sweetness, I get crème caramel. It wasn't honey, it wasn't caramel. It was something other than that. So I got crème brûlée. Let's say that. Crème brûlée is what I get. And that was first. So it's sweet. And then I got the wood. And then I got the, let's call it cinnamon. I'll call it cinnamon hearts. You'll call it your other spice. on the back.
Now, Dolph, I don't know if you noticed this. When you said creme caramel, the way you said it, you suddenly grew a goatee.
This all of a sudden showed up. It wasn't there before.
No, it wasn't there before.
Holy cool. You're right.
Very good. My French comes out every time I say Davin's name, and that is well. I'm glad you noticed. Thank you very much. I tried really hard. And the finish, gentlemen?
I find it maybe medium.
Medium long. I'll go for
Fading.
that. But it does
for some oak tannins in there and that kind of thing.
And in the back. And I'm just going to ask you a quick question, because this is 100% rye, and it's 100% BC rye. Can we compare this to 100% Alberta rye? What do you think the difference is really?
Where it's grown.
Thank you.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, you could have been a teacher like me, Davin. It's just one of those things. What's the answer? 4. Go on. There is a difference, and is it just in the area and not the production of it? Because
there's so much goes into the flavor of rye, particularly rye, that to try to say that it's of that place is really a tremendous oversimplification.
Okay.
If you get the variety, the variety of rye has more contribution than where it's grown. You get rye that's nice and shriveled up and grown where the weather is not that great, the climate's not that great for growing other grains. You get these shriveled up grains of rye that just taste fabulous. You grow rye in a field that's been fertilized or
well aerated,
sprayed with water, irrigated. You get big fat kernels that just don't taste nearly as good. But remember, rye is grown to make bread. Whiskey makers don't have a say in what the rye is going to be like. Well, except in Alberta, where they have rye farmers who grow rye specifically to make whiskey. Yeah. So I think a lot of it depends on how they've processed it, quite honestly. The yeast plays a huge role. Yeast plays a really important role in fermenting rye. But I think the reason they use BC rye is because if they do that, they can then pay a lower tax rate because they're an artisanal distillery. And good for them, and good for BC for bringing that in, because it's really, really put wings beneath the feet of the BC micro distilling industry.
And you can tell. You look at your book, the first third is BC. One province is almost a third of your book. There's so many distilleries in BC, so much to choose from. It's fantastic. And it's because of that, because they promoted it and they gave them the chance, and people got behind it. They did.
Yeah,
all right,
I said, when we first were writing that book, we had 3 chapters on BC, but it didn't seem to work, so we had to kind of condense it because, then you give a chapter to Yukon, and it's just disproportional. So,
you know what? Same thing. Ontario has a lot, so they deserve a lot. I don't. You spent more time on more distilleries, and there's 200. Well, not 200 distilleries anymore, but they had a huge chunk of those 200. So we're going to wrap things up, gentlemen. Last thoughts?
If you get lost in the woods, there's coordinates on how to get to the distillery on the bottle.
Get to the distillery, and Gordon will tell you how to get home.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you could see it. It's it's right there anyways on the side of it. So that's kind of cool. And I read that in the article. I'm going, where was that? Because I didn't notice it before. So thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Everyone watching, thank you very much. And we will see you next Tuesday. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.